Easy English Conversations.
Simple English. Real conversations.
Hey English learners, welcome back to the Easy English Conversations channel, your cozy place to learn easy English through real-life conversations. I'm Alex.
And I'm Emma.
I don't know where you're listening from right now, and I was thinking about how many times we promise ourselves we're going to get serious about something.
Cold coffee is such a mood.
Right? It's like proof that you got distracted by your own thoughts.
Or by Instagram.
Or by Instagram. But I was thinking about that feeling, when you wake up and you're like, okay, this is the week. I'm finally going to fix my English. I'm going to study 2 hours a day. I'm going all in. And it feels powerful for about 48 hours.
And then Thursday hits.
Exactly. And suddenly, that 2-hour plan feels impossible.
I've done that so many times. Not just with English gym, journaling, reading more. There's this intense burst of motivation, and then it disappears. And when it disappears, we assume something's wrong with us.
Yeah. We blame discipline, or talent.
Or intelligence.
But what if the problem isn't your motivation? What if it's your system?
That word changes everything. System.
It sounds boring, though.
It does. No one wakes up excited about building a system.
We want excitement. We want dramatic transformation. We want to feel like we're reinventing ourselves overnight.
But language doesn't work like that. Fluency doesn't reward intensity. It rewards consistency.
That's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need a heroic study session. You need something smaller, repeatable, sustainable.
Something you can do on a random Tuesday when you're tired.
Exactly. So today, I want to break down what that actually looks like. Not theory, not classroom rules, but a practical structure you can use on your own.
And when we say on your own, we really mean it. No fancy courses required. No waiting until you can afford something. Just you, your daily life, and a smarter approach.
So let's start at the beginning. If we're talking about a system, the first piece is planning. But not planning in a rigid, overwhelming way.
Not the color-coded 5-hour schedule kind of planning.
No. Intentional planning.
That word intentional is huge because most people say, I want to improve my English. But that's not intentional. That's vague.
It's a wish.
Exactly. And wishes don't guide daily action.
So what does being intentional actually mean here?
For me, it starts with asking, why does this matter to me right now? Not in 5 years, not in theory, right now.
That's interesting, because a lot of learners say, I need English for my career, but that's abstract.
It is. And abstract goals don't move you at 9 p.m. when you're tired. But if your intention is, I want to confidently speak in meetings without panicking, that's emotional. That's specific.
So intention gives direction.
Yes. It narrows your focus. It stops you from trying to improve everything at once.
That's a big mistake. People try to fix grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary, listening, and writing all in 1 week.
And then they feel behind in all of it.
So instead of that, we think in weeks. Not forever. Just this week.
Weekly goals are powerful because they're close enough to feel real.
Give me an example.
Okay, instead of I want to be fluent. A weekly goal could be, this week I'm going to feel more comfortable talking about my job.
That's manageable.
Or, this week I'll learn and use 10 phrases for giving opinions. Not memorize 100 random words, 10 useful phrases.
I love that. Because it gives you a lens. When you watch something or read something, you're looking for those phrases.
Yes, your brain becomes selective. It stops drowning in information.
So, we've got intention, then we've got a weekly focus, but here's where people still mess up. They make the weekly goal good, and then they overload their daily schedule.
They try to do too much in one day.
So let's shrink it again. Daily micro goals.
I'm obsessed with micro goals.
I know you are.
Because they remove drama. A daily micro goal could literally be, today I'll spend 10 minutes listening to English while making breakfast. That's it.
10 minutes feels almost too small.
Good. It should feel small. If it feels impressive, it's probably not sustainable.
That's such a good rule.
The micro goal isn't about proving you're serious. It's about building continuity.
Continuity over intensity.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, if you do 10 minutes every day for 30 days, that's 300 minutes. That's 5 hours.
And most people don't even realize how much time they lose because they skip days.
Right. They study 2 hours on Sunday and then nothing for 5 days. And then they wonder why progress feels unstable.
So the micro goal keeps the chain unbroken.
Yes. And psychologically, that matters. When you see yourself showing up daily, even briefly, you start identifying as someone who practices English.
Identity shift.
Huge. Instead of, I'm bad at English, it becomes, I'm someone who trains my English every day.
Let me challenge you on something.
Okay.
What about people who say, 10 minutes isn't enough? I need real progress.
I'd say 10 minutes is enough if it's focused and consistent. And here's the secret, you'll often do more. But you don't require more.
So the 10 minutes is the minimum floor, not the ceiling.
Exactly. It's the non-negotiable base.
I like that. Because when life gets chaotic, and it will, you still have a tiny anchor.
And that anchor prevents the all-or-nothing spiral.
That spiral is brutal.
It is. You miss one day, then you feel guilty, then you avoid it, then a week passes.
So we've talked about intention, weekly goals, daily micro goals, but there's one more piece in this planning phase that people ignore.
The ability to tweak.
Yes. And to ditch.
That's uncomfortable for people. Because we attach ego to our plans.
We think if we change the plan, we failed.
But changing the plan is intelligence. If you planned to study at 6 a.m. and you consistently don't wake up, that's data.
Not a moral failure.
Exactly. It just means 6 a.m. isn't realistic for you right now.
So instead of quitting English entirely,
You move it to lunch break, or evenings, or while commuting.
tweak the time, tweak the material, tweak the format.
Yes? Maybe podcasts feel too hard this week. Fine. Switch to slower content, or shorter clips.
That's what I love about this approach. It removes perfectionism.
Perfectionism is poison in language learning.
Because you're constantly imperfect.
Always. You will mispronounce words. You will forget vocabulary. That's not a sign you're incapable. It's a sign you're learning.
So if your system demands perfection, you'll quit.
But if your system expects adjustment, you stay.
That's such a subtle shift. Expect adjustment.
Think of it like steering a boat. You're not locking the wheel in one direction. You're constantly making small corrections.
And those small corrections are what keep you moving forward.
Yes. And this is why I don't believe in dramatic resets. You don't need to restart your entire journey every Monday.
You just need to ask, what's working, what's not?
And then tweak one thing.
Not 5 things.
Please, not 5.
So if someone listening right now feels overwhelmed, like they've tried before and it didn't stick, what would you tell them to do today?
I'd say, don't redesign your life. Just choose one intentional focus for this week. Decide one small daily action. And promise yourself you'll adjust instead of quit.
That feels calm.
It should feel calm. Language learning shouldn't feel like crisis management.
I love that.
Because when it's calm, it can last.
So we've built the first layer of this system: intention, weekly direction, tiny daily action, and the freedom to tweak instead of collapse.
And that's just the foundation.
Right. Because planning is powerful, but planning alone doesn't build skill.
At some point, you have to actually let the language in.
And that's where things get interesting. Because the way most people consume English is overwhelming.
Or way too aggressive.
So maybe the next question is, what does healthy input actually look like? And how do you make it part of your life without burning out?
Yeah. Because when people hear immerse yourself, they imagine moving to New York or watching 3-hour documentaries without subtitles.
Or forcing themselves to listen to fast native conversations and understanding maybe 5%.
Which feels terrible, by the way.
It does. It feels like standing outside a glass wall. You can see the conversation happening, but you can't get in.
And that's not motivating. That's discouraging.
So if we're building this system, planning was the first piece. The second piece is input. What you let into your brain every day.
And I think the key word here is gentle.
Gentle immersion.
Exactly. Not aggressive immersion. Not shock your brain until it adapts. Gentle.
What does gentle actually mean in practice?
It means choosing material that's slightly above your current level, but not so far above that you feel lost.
So we're not aiming for maximum difficulty.
No. I'd actually say stay below your maximum level most of the time.
That's interesting, because people assume harder equals better.
Harder equals exhausting. And when you're exhausted, you quit.
So instead of chasing the most advanced podcast you can find,
choose one where you understand, say 70 to 80%.
Enough to follow the idea, even if you miss details.
Exactly, because understanding builds confidence, and confidence makes you come back tomorrow.
Let's talk about where this fits into daily life. Because if someone's micro goal is 10 minutes, how do they use that for input?
Stack it onto something you already do.
Habit stacking.
Yes. If you make coffee every morning, that's your English time. If you commute, that's your English time. If you wash dishes, that's your English time.
So instead of adding a new activity, you attach English to an existing routine.
That makes it sustainable. It doesn't feel like extra work.
I used to tell myself I'd study English at my desk. But when I shifted to listening while walking, it stopped feeling heavy.
Because you weren't isolating it as a chore.
Exactly.
And here's another layer: visibility.
What do you mean?
Make English visible in your environment. Change your phone language. Leave a short English article open on your laptop. Put a sticky note with a phrase on your desk.
So it's not out of sight, out of mind.
Right. When English disappears from your physical space, it disappears from your attention.
That's such a common obstacle. People say, I forgot to practice.
They didn't forget. It just wasn't in front of them.
So, visibility reduces friction.
Yes. You want reminders that are subtle but constant.
Okay, let's go deeper into listening. Because a lot of learners either passively play something in the background or they overanalyze every sentence.
Both extremes can be unhelpful.
So what's the balanced approach?
I like what I call listening below max level.
Explain that.
It means you don't always push your listening ability to its edge. You stay in that 70-80% zone we mentioned. You allow yourself to follow the story without pausing every 10 seconds.
So you're training comprehension flow.
Exactly. You're training your brain to stay with English for longer stretches without panic.
That's huge. Because panic shuts down learning.
It does. When you feel overwhelmed, your brain shifts into stress mode. You're not absorbing language, you're just surviving it.
So instead of pausing constantly to translate,
Try listening once for overall meaning. Just the big picture.
and if you miss a word,
Let it go.
that's hard for perfectionists.
It is. But real conversations don't pause for you to check a dictionary.
So we're simulating real-life tolerance for ambiguity.
Exactly. You're getting comfortable not knowing everything.
That skill alone changes everything.
It does, because fluency isn't knowing every word. It's staying present even when you don't.
Let's shift to reading for a second, because input isn't just listening.
Yes, and reading can be incredibly powerful if done right.
What's done right?
I love a simple 3-step reading loop.
I'm listening.
Step 1. Read quickly for general understanding. No dictionary, just flow.
Even if you don't understand some parts?
Especially then, stay with the overall idea.
Okay.
Step 2. Go back and notice useful phrases. Not every new word, just phrases that feel practical.
Like sentence chunks.
Exactly. Language works in chunks, not isolated vocabulary.
So instead of writing down, although, you'd write down, although I understand your point.
Yes, because that's usable.
And step 3?
Optional, but powerful, read it out loud.
That bridges input and output.
When you read aloud, you connect reading to speaking. You feel the rhythm. You notice pronunciation patterns.
I think people underestimate how much reading aloud can train their mouth.
Exactly. And it doesn't require a partner.
So we've got gentle listening, visible materials, reading in loops. But here's something I want to challenge.
Absolutely. It reduces that awkward feeling when you try to speak spontaneously.
What about people who binge content? They watch 3 episodes of a show in English. Is that good input?
Go ahead.
So 3 episodes once a week isn't as powerful as 15 minutes daily?
It can be, but consistency matters more than volume.
It's like watering a plant.
Usually, yes. Because daily exposure keeps the language alive in your brain.
That's such a clear image.
Exactly. You don't flood it once a week and ignore it the rest of the time.
That's controversial.
And here's something else. Don't confuse entertainment with training.
Not intentional input.
I know. Watching a show is great. But if you're zoning out and relying fully on subtitles in your native language, that's entertainment.
So small adjustments again.
Right. You can still enjoy it, but if your goal is growth, you need a little awareness. Maybe switch to English subtitles. Maybe rewatch a short scene and focus on the language.
I noticed something here. Everything we're saying reduces pressure.
Always small adjustments.
So instead of asking, am I learning fast enough? The better question is,
That's intentional. Pressure kills sustainability.
that's such a calmer metric.
Am I engaging with English daily in a way I can maintain?
And that's where people hit a plateau.
Because progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's invisible for weeks.
But underneath, your brain is building patterns.
Yes, they think, I'm not improving. I feel the same.
So gentle, consistent input is what feeds that.
Exactly. It's like muscle memory forming quietly.
So if my weekly goal is speaking more confidently about my job,
Yes. And when you combine that with intentional planning, you're not just randomly consuming content, you're feeding your weekly focus.
That makes the input purposeful.
You listen to content related to work. You read articles about your industry. You collect phrases you can actually use.
So planning gave us direction. Input gives us fuel.
And purpose keeps motivation steady.
But here's the thing. You can plan. You can listen. You can read. And still feel stuck.
Beautifully said.
Exactly.
Because understanding isn't the same as producing.
And that's where most solo learners hesitate.
At some point, you have to let the language come out of you.
Slightly embarrassing.
They do, because speaking alone feels strange at first,
So maybe that's the next layer we need to unpack.
even if no one's there.
And how do you do it without feeling ridiculous?
Yeah. How do you practice output when you don't have a classroom, a teacher, or a partner sitting across from you?
So let's just say it out loud. Speaking to yourself in English feels weird at first.
That's the real question.
Even if you're alone in your apartment.
It does. There's no way around that. The first time you try it, you feel slightly ridiculous.
But here's the thing, if you don't practice output, your English stays theoretical.
Especially then. You're like, who am I performing for?
And that gap is frustrating. You understand a podcast, you read articles, you nod along, and then someone asks you a question and your mind goes blank.
Yes. You become very good at recognizing English, but not producing it.
Retrieval. That's the key word.
That blank moment isn't because you don't know anything. It's because your brain hasn't practiced retrieval.
So let's make this practical. If someone doesn't have a speaking partner, what can they actually do?
Exactly. Output is retrieval training. You're teaching your brain to access what it already knows.
Like narrating your life?
Start with self-talk. Simple, daily self-talk.
That sounds almost too simple.
Yes, but naturally, not in a dramatic way. If you're cooking, describe what you're doing. I'm chopping onions. I think I added too much salt. It doesn't have to be poetic.
And it connects English to your real life.
It is simple. But it builds fluency in ordinary language, the kind you actually use.
So self-talk integrates it.
That's huge. When English only exists inside textbooks, it feels separate from you.
But I can hear someone thinking, I don't know enough vocabulary to describe my day.
Yes. It makes English part of your internal world.
So instead of feeling ashamed,
Then that's data. If you can't describe your breakfast, that's a useful discovery.
because they came from your life, not a random list.
You look up the words you needed, and now they're relevant. You'll remember them better.
Let's level this up a bit. What about structure? Some people freeze when they don't know what to say.
Exactly.
I love that term.
That's where sentence shells come in.
So you're not inventing language from zero every time.
Me too. A sentence shell is like a frame you can reuse. For example, one thing I've noticed is, or I used to think that, but now I realize.
That reduces cognitive load.
No! You're plugging your ideas into a structure.
So if someone collects 5 to 10 sentence shells in a week,
And increases fluency. Because fluency isn't just vocabulary, it's access to patterns.
even alone,
And actually uses them in self-talk, they'll start sounding more natural.
that's an underrated advantage of solo practice. No one's judging you.
Especially alone. Because you can experiment without pressure.
I want to talk about recording yourself.
Exactly. You can pause, restart, try again. That's powerful.
Why 60 seconds?
Ah, yes. The 60-second recording.
So what would someone record?
Because it's short enough to be doable and long enough to reveal patterns.
No script?
It could be anything connected to their weekly goal. If your focus is talking about work, record yourself explaining your job for 1 minute.
And then what? Listen back and criticize yourself?
Ideally, no script. Maybe a few bullet points, but let it be spontaneous.
That's a big difference.
Not criticize. Observe.
That sounds uncomfortable.
It is. You're listening for clarity. Do you pause a lot? Do you repeat certain words? Are there grammar mistakes you notice?
True.
It is at first. Most people hate hearing their own voice.
So it creates feedback without a teacher.
But this is one of the fastest ways to improve, because you finally hear yourself the way others would.
And you don't need to analyze everything.
Exactly. It's a tiny feedback loop.
Or you keep saying, very, very.
No. Pick one thing to improve next time. Maybe you noticed you always say, Okay, next recording, focus on slowing down.
That's manageable.
Yes, so you replace it with stronger adjectives.
I'm noticing a theme.
Always manageable. Remember, small tweaks.
Planning was small and intentional. Input was gentle and consistent. Output is also small and structured.
Good.
Let's talk about the emotional side of output, because this is where plateaus hit hard.
Because sustainability is the backbone of all of this.
Even if they've been consistent.
Yes, there's a moment in every learner's journey where they think, I'm not getting better.
That's so true.
Especially then, because when you're consistent, your expectations rise.
And that's where comparison sneaks in.
You think, I've been doing this for months. Why don't I sound fluent yet?
But you don't see their years of awkward self-talk and recordings?
Social media makes it worse. You see someone speaking confidently and assume they got there quickly.
So, how do we navigate that plateau feeling?
Exactly.
Sometimes you feel a jump. Sometimes you feel stuck.
First, normalize it. Progress in language is not linear. It comes in waves.
So instead of changing everything when you feel stuck,
And often, the stuck period is consolidation. Your brain is organizing what you've learned.
that's hard advice.
You pause. You repeat. You trust the process a little longer.
There it is.
It is. But Rome wasn't built in a day.
I think one of the biggest mindset shifts is accepting that this is long-term.
And fluency isn't built in a month.
And that's why the routine has to be livable.
Yes. Not endless, but long-term.
A daily drink?
I like to think of English as a small daily drink.
That's such a calming metaphor.
Yeah. Not a huge bucket you force down once a week. Just a small sip every day.
So English becomes part of your lifestyle, not a temporary project.
Because it removes urgency. You don't panic about hydration if you sip consistently.
Before we close, I want to make this very concrete. If someone listening wants to start tomorrow, what does their day look like?
Exactly.
Gentle input.
Okay. They wake up. While making coffee, they listen to 10 minutes of a podcast slightly below their max level.
3-step reading loop.
During lunch, they read a short article connected to their weekly focus. First, for general meaning. Then they highlight 2 useful phrases.
6-0. Second output.
That evening, they spend 1 minute recording themselves using those phrases.
Tiny feedback loop.
And before bed, maybe they reflect briefly. What felt easy? What felt hard?
And they repeat that tomorrow.
That's it. No drama, no marathon session.
When you describe it like that, it feels human,
With small adjustments if needed.
not a performance.
It should. Language learning is a human process,
Just daily contact?
not a race.
I think that's the heart of it.
Daily contact with intention.
And maybe the real shift isn't asking, how can I become fluent fast? But asking,
Me too.
That's a different question.
How can I build a relationship with English that I can sustain for years?
Yeah.
And it leads to a very different journey.
And let that be enough.
So maybe tonight, instead of planning a perfect future, you just choose your one small action for tomorrow. Let it be enough.